Big.
All right, there we go.
Trying to set the mood.
Yeah. Hi,
Like,
everybody. Thanks for joining. We're going to give it about one more minute to let everybody get joined in here. So excited to do our 201 session today. Thanks for your flexibility. In the last minute pivot on this one, I best laid plans traveling outside of a secondary market like Kansas City. You just got to be, ready to have your flight schedule changed on you last minute. So I just wanted this to be valuable for everybody. I didn't want to be like caught late in an airport trying to present last week. So I appreciate you guys being willing to move to this week. All right, folks are steadily joining in. All right. I am going to go ahead and dive in again like last time. There's a lot to cover. All really good stuff. I'm going to present for about 50 minutes. If you guys had some success trying out your polyproductivity workflow, scheduling your prompts, everything that we learned in the 101 session, just throw it in the chat. I think it would be awesome to learn from each other. I'd love to see how you were able to incorporate some of the things that I talked about last time into your workflow. So feel free to have a discussion with each other in the chat while I present. And before we jump into the content today, everyone, I want to quickly reconnect this session back to this 4-part series. The 201 session where you are today is really where things start to get very practical. In the 101 session, if you were there, we focused on the foundation, what Copilot is, where it shows up across Microsoft 365, all of your different, Office applications, and why it matters in meetings. And today is where we take the next step. This session is all about how you can actually use it, right? How you take those capabilities that we learned and turn them into real world scenarios, conversations, outcomes with your customers. And as a reminder, this is still part of a 4-part series. It's a journey, right? Each of these 4 sessions is designed to build on the last and get progressively more actionable for you. In the sessions ahead, we are going to build from here, moving into how you position the business value of meetings more strategically, how Teams, Rooms, and Copilot come together as a full solution, and ultimately how you can take all of this and turn it into, scalable opportunities if you are a partner. So my ask is the same as last time. Don't think of this as a standalone training. The value really comes together when you follow the full progression of this learning series. So if you are here today, that means that you are automatically going to be invited to the 301 and the 401 session. But feel free to share broadly. All of the recorded sessions will be on my YouTube channel. I'll try to have this session up tonight so you can share. But share the whole series broadly. If you think there's other folks in your organizations that would benefit from attending, please feel free to share. So again, what we're going to cover today, because this session is really about moving from understanding to execution. We'll start with a quick recap of what matters from 101, just to level set and make sure we're building on the same foundation. So from there, we'll walk through the meeting life cycle. And when I say the meeting, I mean a meeting at your desktop, a meeting from your mobile device, a hybrid meeting, an ad hoc meeting, a scheduled meeting, a meeting where you're in a physical meeting room. All of the above, right? There's so many different types of ways that we meet. It doesn't happen in a, in a standalone type of scenario anymore, right? So we'll walk through the life cycle of the meeting, which could be any one of those different scenarios, specifically the life cycle though, before, during, and after, right? And how Copilot shows up in each of those moments of all of your different types of meetings. Then we'll spend time in real world scenarios and prompts. And this is really the core of the session today, how you'll actually use this for yourself how you can use this in conversations with your colleagues and your customers, and how you might actually be able to demo some of these things. And we'll talk about how to position this story internally and with your customers. So in a way that resonates, right? Because I think that's where we're seeing the biggest gap right now. People understand the technology for the most part, but they're not always confident in how to actually use it to get the best value, and not always confident in how to tell the story. And then we'll close by connecting this to the full meeting experience, okay, including the role of devices. And we'll hear from Jabra, who is our sponsor today for the 201 session. And we'll certainly leave time at the end for Q&A. And we're also going to do another spinning wheel giveaway. So think of today, again, as very practical. This is about what you can take and start using immediately. So just to quickly recap what we did in the 101 session, if you haven't gone back and watched, if you didn't attend or go back and watch the session, let me bring you back to this day in the life example. What we did here was walk through a real end-to-end workflow and show how Copilot fits into your day, not my day or everybody's day, but specifically your day. And show how Copilot fits into each part of your day, starting in the morning and all the way through an end of day wrap up, for example. And the goal wasn't just to show features, it was to make it real and relatable. Where are you spending your time? Where is the friction? And how can Copilot step in to simplify that? We also introduced the idea of building your own hero scenario. So that's what grounds it in your day. So using your role, your priorities, your workflow, and mapping where Copilot can help across each step. And then importantly, you walked away with more than just the concept, right? You get the templates, the prompts behind the template, so you could apply this directly into your own day-to-day scenario. So if you haven't watched this, go back and check it out. If you need a copy of the presentation, if you didn't receive that, let me know so that you can get access to the templates. The key takeaway from the 101 session was really this. Copilot isn't just a feature. It's something that's grounded in your Microsoft 365 data. What I mean by that is your meetings, your chats, your emails, your documents, and more, which is what allows it to show up in a way that's personalized and relevant to how you work. So today we're going to build on that foundation. We're going to take it one step further into how you actually use this to bring Copilot into your Microsoft Teams meetings workflows, because meetings are quickly becoming the largest AI workload. One more quick slide before we jump in. I want to take a quick moment to welcome and thank our sponsor for today's session, Michael Tressler with Jabra. And Jabra is a really important part of this conversation, because while Copilot is helping you manage your day and run more effective meetings, the quality of that experience is directly tied to how well those meetings are captured, right? So clear audio, reliable devices, consistent meeting experiences. Those are the things that allow Copilot to accurately summarize, pull insights, and actually be useful in your day-to-day workflow. So as we go through today, just keep in mind that this isn't just about Copilot as a feature. It's about creating better, more productive meetings end to end. And that starts with a strong foundation, which is where Jabra plays a key role with their devices. In terms of the flow today, I'll take you through how to use Copilot to manage your meetings more effectively, and then we're going to hand it to our friend Michael at Jabra. And don't forget, stay to the end because we're doing a giveaway for a Jabra P40 device. Okay, so let's dig in. Before we get into the how of it all, I want to take a moment to ground this in why this shift really matters right now. What you're seeing here is that AI, in this scenario, specifically generative AI, isn't just a trend, right? It's no longer just a side conversation. It is becoming a core part of how work gets done. We are seeing massive growth in both investment and usage, which tells us something really important. It's not optional anymore. It is becoming the new baseline for productivity. But here's the part that I want to make real for you. This isn't just about companies that are adopting AI. It's about how your day-to-day work is changing. There is a significant shift that's happening. And one of the biggest places this is showing up is in meetings, right? We all have so many meetings day to day. More meetings, more content, more follow-ups, more decisions, and more pressure to stay on top of it all. right? This is not happening in a vacuum. It's really, truly happening to everyone. So while this slide shows the bigger industry shift, what it means really for you is this: AI is becoming the tool that helps you keep up with the pace of your own workday. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on: how Copilot fits into your meetings so you're not just reacting, which is what every day really feels like right now. You're actually staying ahead. You're ready for the next thing, right? Um, so let's bring that one level closer to home. This idea of meeting hangovers. This is something I think everyone here can relate to. It's that feeling when you leave a meeting and you're not really clear what just happened, right? You're not sure what decisions were made, or maybe for the first hour after a meeting you're really clear, but then it gets foggy because you just had another meeting and new tasks were assigned to you or new questions came to you. So it starts to fall flat a little bit, like after the meeting when the real work is supposed to take place, like what decisions were made, and you're already behind going into your next meeting. Um, the data here in this Harvard Business Review article really reinforces that, or over a quarter of meetings leave us with lingering, right? It's not just like a quick 5-minute feeling, it's a lingering negative effect, like reduced focus, reduced productivity. But honestly, you don't even need the stat to know this. It's real, right? We all feel it. And when you think about your day, it's usually not one meeting, it's back-to-back meetings. And that's the reality that we're living in here. So the impact of this compounds. You miss something in one meeting, that carries into the next. Follow-ups get delayed, context gets lost, and by the end of the day, you're spending more time recovering from meetings. How many people feel like that, right? Where we just stare in a middle space for a little bit. You're doing that instead of actually moving the work forward, which is the whole reason we're meeting anyways. So the problem we're trying to solve is that's the problem we're trying to solve, because better meetings isn't just about running the meetings differently. It's about having the support in the moment to stay aligned, capture what matters, and leave the meeting clear on what happens next. And this is where Copilot really starts to change the experience. Now, if we take that one more step further, this is where it really starts to hit your day to day work. Meeting management itself has become a big challenge and a big productivity drain. So, there's two numbers here that I want you to really think about. On average, employees everywhere are spending about 4 hours per week just preparing for meetings. That's not the meeting itself. That's time spent going back through emails, chats, documents, trying to piece together context before you even join the meeting. And then on the other side, we've got something as simple as trying to schedule a meeting, which takes about 15 minutes on average. Again, not the meeting, the coordination of the meeting. So when you step back and look at your week, a huge amount of time actually isn't spent in the meetings. It's spent preparing for them, coordinating them, following up after them. And that's where a lot of the friction comes. And it's not just that meetings are happening, it's everything surrounding them that is slowing us down. And when we talk about Copilot, this is the lens I want you to keep in mind. This isn't about adding something new to your workflow. We don't want to do that, right? We don't want to complicate anything or make the workflow more complex, because this is about reducing the overhead around meetings so you can actually focus on the conversation and the outcome itself. And that's what we're going to talk about next: how Copilot starts to support you before, during, and after every single meeting. Now, building on that idea of managing meetings, this is where it really starts to come together. When you break down what it actually takes to run a successful meeting, there are a lot of steps involved. Not just the meeting itself, again, but everything around it. On average, it takes about 16 steps to get from scheduling a meeting all the way through follow up. If you think about your own day, it may feel about right. It starts with finding a time on calendars, pulling together context, building an agenda. Then during the meeting, we need to capture notes. We need to track decisions. We need to make sure everybody is engaged and we're keeping everything on track with the agenda. And then after the meeting, we have to summarize what happened. We have to identify action items. We need to send follow-ups. So again, the challenge isn't just the meeting. It's all of the steps surrounding it. And most of this work is still manual. today, right? Finding time that we can meet, drafting, coming up with an agenda, sharing the agenda, um, tracking action items or tasks during the meeting. And that's what leads to things falling through the cracks, things being missed, and that feeling of constantly being behind. Um, Now, this is where Copilot really starts to change the experience because instead of you having to manage every single one of these steps manually, Copilot actually helps these steps happen more seamlessly in the background, right? I think I mentioned last time that my two favorite words of the next fiscal year are outcome and automation, right? So we want meetings that are going to get us to the right outcome, better outcomes, quicker outcomes, and we want as much as possible to be automated and behind the scenes because we want to spend less time on the logistics and more time actually focusing on the outcome of the meeting. And that's how we're going to frame the rest of this session. We're going to walk through Copilot, how it supports you across all of these steps before, during, and after the meeting. Okay, so this is the framework we're going to use for the rest of the session. Everything we've talked about so far, the number of steps, the time spent, the friction, it fits into all of these simple phases. Before the meeting, before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting. And the key idea here is, gosh, look at all of these steps, right? To have a valuable meeting. It's endless, it seems like, considering the number of meetings we have every day. So the key idea here is Copilot isn't just helping in one moment. It's supporting you across this entire life cycle of your meeting, from how you prepare for the meeting, to how you stay engaged during the meeting, and how you follow up and keep things moving forward after the meeting. So rather than thinking about Copilot as a feature, again, I want you to start thinking about it as something that's sitting alongside you throughout your entire workday, especially when it comes to meetings. Now we're going to start with what happens before the meeting, because this is where you set yourself and everyone that you've invited to your meeting up for success. Okay. If you look at these steps, defining the purpose, we're just focus up here for me in the before the meeting section. Defining the purpose of the meeting, building the agenda, scheduling, preparing, assigning roles. None of this is new, right? This is kind of meeting 101s. You're already doing this today, or we should be, right? And if we want to have a valuable meeting, these are critical steps. A lot of times we have too many meetings, and so we may not get to be as intentional as we'd like to be for every meeting, but this is what we should be doing. The challenge is it's time consuming. Often it's fragmented. You're pulling context from emails, you're checking Teams chats, you're opening documents, you're trying to piece everything together before the meeting starts. Instead of manually gathering all of that context, we can use Copilot to summarize recent conversations, emails, and meetings so you walk in already up to speed. And you can quickly generate an agenda based on past discussions or meeting goals instead of starting from scratch, right? We want to access that vault of knowledge that Copilot is grounded in our Microsoft 365 graph, and use that to our advantage. You can ensure the right people are included and aligned without all of the back and forth coordination. You can pull together relevant files, updates, key talking points all in one place. So the outcome here is really simple, but really powerful. You show up to your meeting prepared, not catching up, not reacting in the moment, not spending the first 15 minutes reminding everyone and summarizing what you talked about in your last meeting and then running out of time. You're clear on the purpose, you're aligned in the context, and you're ready to focus on the actual conversation. And that foundation is what sets the rest of the meeting up to be very productive. So now let's move into what happens once the meeting begins. Oh, okay. So let's try to make this a little bit more real. And actually, I think that slide is acting up on me. So I'm going to back up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to show you some examples first. I think a couple slides got mixed up here. Okay. Pivot with me really quickly. We'll come back to what happens during the meeting. So let's make this before the meeting scenario a little more real for you. Let's bring Polly Productivity back into the picture. So Polly Productivity, she's a partner development manager. She's managing partners. She's juggling multiple conversations. She's spending a significant part of her day in meetings. And like most of us, again, she doesn't have just a couple meetings a day. She has a full calendar of them. So in this scenario, Polly's getting ready for an upcoming meeting with one of her partners. And her goal isn't just to show up, is to show up prepared, aligned, and ready to drive the conversation forward. So this slide actually shows you the process that you can use. This is how Polly sets herself up and everyone else in that meeting up for success. So it starts with grounding Copilot in her role. So she's saving, again, all of her instead of asking like, what should I ask? What should I prepare? She's leveraging Copilot to structure that for her in a way that's repeatable. And then from there, she's using those prompts to do the real work. So she's actually able to get caught up on speed with the latest context specific to that meeting. She's able to define the purpose of the meeting and what success looks like. She builds a clear agenda. She identifies the right attendees, and she makes sure everyone is aligned going in to the meeting so they show up ready. And I'm going to talk more about this prompt. And again, this is going to be provided for you. So you can, copy and paste these prompts into Copilot business chat. But the key shift is Polly isn't spending time manually pulling all this information together. She's using Copilot to accelerate the process so that by the time the meeting starts, she's not catching up. Right? She's ready to go. She's fully prepared. The rest of the attendees are set up for success as well. And now I'm going to walk you through the exact prompt she's using to make this happen. So she, in business chat, said, Copilot, help me prepare for an upcoming meeting. Basically went through those first 6 steps, right? Define the purpose of the meeting and what success looks like, generate a structured agenda, recommend the right attendees, summarize key updates, risks, and open questions I should be aware of, suggest any relevant documents or materials I should review ahead of time. We love pre-read, and then recommend roles for the meeting. Like, who am I going to assign different roles to for the meeting? And then quickly, Copilot provides that, information back to her in less than, 2 seconds, right? So one quick call out here, because this is a really important detail. In the exact example prompt, you'll notice that it says, help me prepare for an upcoming meeting. But this is where you can make the prompt even more powerful. So instead of keeping it generic, you want to actually be very specific about the meeting. So this could look like, instead of having what I have highlighted here, you name the meeting directly. You reference the topic or the partner. You paste the link to the meeting invite into the prompt. And when you do that, Copilot can anchor everything it's generating from this prompt into that specific meeting scenario. The context, the attendees, the prior conversations, any relevant materials tied to that invite. And again, the key point I want to highlight here is this isn't just for meetings you own, right? Which is probably a lot of the meetings on your calendar. You own them, you drive them. But this is just valuable, if not more valuable, for meetings you get invited to. Because in those scenarios, you're often coming in without the full context. That happens to me all the time. How many meetings do we join where we're like, oh, I'm not really sure like what my relevance is here, or what are we trying to achieve here? But that doesn't mean that you have to show up unprepared, right? You want to make every meeting, whether you own it or someone else owns it, you want it to be valuable and productive for your time. So probably you weren't prepared of every email thread, every chat, every decision that led to the meeting that you got invited to. So instead of spending time trying to catch up, you can point Copilot to that specific meeting invite and ask it to bring you up to speed. Again, it's a shift, right? We're not just preparing for meetings. You are preparing yourself to walk into any meeting on your calendar, organized, informed, ready to contribute from the start. And that's, I think, where this, again, becomes really very powerful in your day-to-day. So this is the output from the prompt that I showed you in the previous slide. This is the output that Copilot generated from that single prompt. And what I want you to notice right away is, this is already in a format that you can use directly in your meeting. You're not taking notes from it. You're not reworking it. It's meeting ready. Right? One of my favorite phrases, meeting ready, right? I don't have to change, alter, pivot, anything. It's ready to go. So if we look at the top with purpose and success criteria, Copilot has taken all of the background context, emails, chats, prior meetings, and has distilled it into, why is this meeting happening? What does a successful outcome look like? This is really important because this is something that so many of our meetings lack, right? People show up, but they're not aligned on what needs to be achieved. So right away, Copilot is helping set Polly up with clarity for every meeting that she joins. Next, we move into the agenda. And again, it's not generic. It's structured, time-bound, and grounded in what's actually happening with her partner right now. Not from the last time, based on, action items that they discussed a month ago in their last Rhythm of Business meeting. It's everything that's happened in between then, right? So it's maintaining that context and updating that context. So instead of starting from scratch, Polly now has a clear flow, what to cover, how long to spend, and how to move the conversation forward. And then when we get to recommended activities, this is another area where time is usually lost. We have to think about, well, who is most valuable? Who's the most relevant people to bring into this meeting? Either we're inviting too many people because we're just not sure, or we're missing someone critical. And now Copilot can really help us identify who needs to be there, right? And who may be missing based on context and topic. So in this first section alone, Polly's already solved really 3 big challenges: clarity of purpose, structured agenda, and the right people in the room. And she did that with a single prompt. Now, as we move into the second half of the output, this is where Copilot really helps Polly walk in fully prepared. A summary of key updates, right? Risks, open questions, and this is a huge time saver. So instead of digging through multiple threads or trying to remember what changed, what's at risk, what still needs to be answered, Copilot brings all of that together in one place. So Polly walks in already informed, can focus on the conversation where it matters most. And the next recommended materials and pre-reads. Again, this is something we all do manually today, searching for the last deck and pulling up notes and which chat was that in, which SharePoint did they share that file, finding the right documents. Copilot is proactively surfacing what is relevant for your meeting. So everything is ready before the meeting even starts. And then finally, roles. And this is one of those small things that makes a really big difference. We need to be thinking about who owns what in this meeting so that they know that the meeting is relevant for them. They need to be there. This is your role. I'm going to define it for you ahead of the meeting so that you're prepared. We don't want people joining and figuring it out in the moment, right? We want Copilot to help us define if there's someone specific who's going to be facilitating the meeting. Hopefully we've got an agent who's capturing the notes, but we want to identify that agent, right? What are we bringing into the meeting to capture notes? Who's accountable for decisions, which means the meeting runs smoother, right? There's no confusion on ownership afterward. And when you step back and look at this output, what Polly has now is a complete meeting setup. Clear purpose, structured agenda, the right attendees, full context, materials ready, roles defined, all before the meeting even starts from one prompt. And it's all current, grounded, ready to go. Again, that's the shift, right? You're not just saving time. This isn't just a feature of like very basic productivity tasks. You are completely changing how you prepare and how prepared you are when you walk into a meeting. And that's what sets everything that happens. That's what sets up everything that happens next. Okay, so this is kind of where everything starts to come together. You've used Copilot to generate your meeting prep, and now you're turning that into, high value Outlook invite. You create the meeting title. I'm just going to show you some key features that you may not be aware of in this example. So the basics, right? Create the meeting title. Copilot can also suggest that for you to make sure it's clear and concise and everyone knows why they should click accept instead of tentative, right? Insert the people that Copilot recommended or that you want to bring into the meeting. And then you move into the meeting body, you take that output from Copilot, drop it directly into the invite. So you want to structure it so attendees can scan it quickly. And with these details, you've eliminated the need to rehash context at the start of the call. Everyone's starting at the same point of readiness. With the pre-read suggestions specifically, instead of saying, we'll review this live, you're giving people the chance to come prepared. And then having roles identified in the meeting invite notes, you're separating a good meeting from a great one. Clear ownership. And what you've just done is take something that normally requires multiple steps, and you've turned it into a fully structured, high quality meeting invite in just minutes, right? It isn't just about preparing for the meeting. It's about setting everyone else up for success before the meeting even starts. You're prepared as the meeting owner, and everyone you've invited to that meeting is also going to prepare. Now, this isn't just a shift that happens overnight, right? But you're redesigning the meeting habits, right? So once people see, oh my gosh, that was a really effective meeting, it creates this trend, this adoption of these new work and meeting habits. Okay, so I think the next slide shows me. Oh, okay, we're going to come back to that image from that previous slide. So now we've seen how Polly prepares for the meeting, how she sets up a strong invitation for that meeting. And this is really where the meeting experience starts to change, because traditionally, even with a great agenda, Polly is still doing a lot of work once the meeting starts. As the meeting owner, she's leading the discussion. She's responsible for keeping everyone on track, capturing notes, tracking action items. So even though she prepared well, she's still running the meeting in italics and bold and all caps, right? So, what we're introducing here is a shift in responsibility. Instead of assigning those roles to a person, we are going to bring a facilitator agent into the meeting directly from the Outlook invite. I'll show you how to do that. But really quickly, before we move forward, I want to pause and clearly define what we mean by a facilitator agent, because this is really, really important concept. And I know a lot of you on this call are familiar with facilitator, but maybe haven't used it. Some of you, this may be a brand new, concept for you. The facilitator agent is essentially a Copilot powered assistant that joins your meeting to help manage it in real time. I call facilitator my project manager or my meeting manager with an MBA, right? Like, they are sitting alongside you and everyone else in the meeting, taking on the responsibilities that would normally fall to somebody, multiple people within the meeting, right? But they're like not high value tasks that you want to be focused on. You want to be focused on the actual purpose of that meeting. So when Polly's setting up her meeting, instead of thinking who's going to facilitate, who's taking notes, instead she's thinking, how can Copilot and the facilitator agent manage this for me? And that changes the dynamic completely. By bringing Copilot and facilitator into the meeting, the agenda is automatically followed in the meeting chat. Everyone in the meeting can see the agenda and how we're tracking to the agenda. The notes are getting captured in real time, and action items are identified as the conversation happens. Polly's no longer focused on managing the meeting, right? She's focused on participating in the meeting. Okay, this is a key mindset shift I want you to take away as we move into this next section. We're not just using Copilot to prepare for meetings anymore. I think everyone, probably most people in this session today, know I can use Copilot to help draft an agenda, right? We get that, and maybe we're doing that today. But we really want to move into how can we effectively use Copilot as an active participant in my meetings to automate a lot of the things that usually I've been having to do manually in my meeting. So we're going to use Copilot and agents to actually run parts of the meeting alongside us. So first, make sure this is enabled as a Teams meeting. That's what allows Copilot and facilitator agent to prepare or to participate alongside you. From within the meeting options, so you've got your meeting invite open, you're going to click options, you're going to go to Copilot and AI features, you are going to turn on and enable facilitator. This is what activates the facilitator agent experience. So you're essentially saying this meeting will be supported by Copilot. Think about what this removes for us. As a meeting owner, we no longer have to try to listen and type at the same time, or listen, speak, and type at the same time. We're no longer worried about missing key decisions. We're no longer responsible for driving every part of the agenda. Instead, the facilitator agent is going to help guide the flow, capture what matters, and keep everything moving forward. So when we click that end meeting button, facilitator is going to make sure that we continue to keep that meeting outcome going. So we're just focusing on what matters the most, the conversation, partner relationships, customer relationships, and the outcomes of the meeting. So that's the setup for what you're about to see next, how facilitator agent actually shows up during the meeting to guide the discussion, capture insights, and drive outcomes in real time. So this is an example of what that looks like during the meeting. On the left, you've got your standards Teams meeting experience and attendees on video. They're having a conversation, right? But what I want you to focus on is what's happening on the right-hand side, inside of the meeting chat. The facilitator agent appears directly in the meeting chat as an active participant in the meeting. It's not something separate that you have to open or manage. It's embedded right into the flow of the meeting. And you'll see it in your meeting posting updates in real time. For example, it's recognizing where you are in the meeting, right? We're halfway through, or you've got 20 minutes of agenda left and 10 minutes in your meeting left. So you need to move on to the next topic. It's summarizing key decisions as they happen. And while the conversation is happening, facilitator is listening to the discussion. It's tracking decisions and key points. It's identifying action items as they come up. So instead of someone needing to stop and document everything, the agent is already doing that continuously in real time. So it's actually like you'll see it in the chat. You'll notice in the summary when this is happening in real time that specific actions are being captured and they're being tied to individuals. So for example, Amanda will create a channel post. So-and-so will reach out for marketing feedback. So it's not just capturing notes, it's turning the conversation into clear actions with clear ownership. And it's not passive, right? Attendees can engage with it. They see it and they can engage with it. So during the meeting, anyone can ask for a summary from facilitator on the spot. They can ask to get decisions clarified. So you could ask in the chat, what are the action items so far? Or request, facilitator capture this as a follow-up. So instead of relying on memory or side notes, the entire group has access to a shared source of truth and knowledge from this meeting in real time. And again, this is where the experience is really changing because the meeting isn't just being attended. Attending a meeting is very passive. It's being actively supported, and an agent is handling the structure, the notes, the follow-up. So everyone in the meeting can stay focused on the conversation itself. As we look at this in action, there's really just one of many important concepts that I want to call out because it's what makes the experience different from what you may be used to having with Copilot alone instead of using a facilitator agent. Up until now, most of what we've talked about with Copilot feels very one-on-one. You prompt Copilot, you get a response. This is very different from that. The facilitator is a shared group AI experience for the entire meeting. It's allowing for a group productivity session, not just an individual productivity session. So it's not just assisting Polly, it's supporting everyone in the meeting at the same time. So anyone can engage with facilitator. They ask things like summarize, what decisions have we made? What are the remaining action items? Or even can you pull any additional context on this customer? Right? So facilitator will, while sitting in the meeting with you, go out and get new information and bring it back. Hey, facilitator, can you check the latest update on this topic? And now facilitator will even proactively ask you questions. In the chat, it will say, would you like me to get more information on the latest sales trends? And you can say, yes, please do that, right? So it's an active member in your meeting. So instead of pausing the conversation or going off to find more information while you're still trying to stay engaged in the meeting, you can bring that insight directly into the meeting in a moment, right? Using the facilitator agent. It isn't just waiting to be asked, right? It's proactively surfacing summaries, calling out progress against the agenda, highlighting decisions as they happen, notifying you when you're halfway through. Here's what we've decided so far. So it's helping guide the meeting without interrupting it. Okay. So this is where this really comes to life. We showed how the facilitator is identifying action items during the meeting and is assigning ownership. But the real question is, where do those actions go next? Because capturing tasks is great, but if they stay in notes, we still get lost. This is where the planner agent comes in, right? So as those actions are identified in the meeting, they get structured and assigned and pushed directly into a meeting attendee's planner app. So instead of someone manually rewriting notes after the meeting, those tasks are assigned to individuals. They're already tied to outcomes. They're already part of the team's workflow. And that means that every attendee doesn't just hear what they need to, they leave the meeting with it already in their system of work. And now it shows up where their work gets done in their planner, in their tasks list, and in follow-up workflows. Okay, so let's talk about what happens after the meeting. What happens next, right? This is where a lot of the value is either captured or lost for our meeting workflows. Think about a typical meeting day. Even if it's a great conversation in our meetings, what usually happens after? You leave the meeting, notes are scattered, action items may not be clearly defined, follow-ups get delayed, momentum starts to drop almost immediately after we click end meeting. A lot of the real work is supposed to start after the meeting, but it's where things tend to break down. So what we're going to look at next is how Copilot changes that. Instead of the meeting being the end of the process, it becomes the starting point for everything that comes after. Because now your notes are already captured, your decisions are documented, your outputs are already structured. So the shift that's important is that you're not leaving a meeting trying to remember what happened. You're leaving the meeting ready to actually do the work that you discussed in the meeting. And that's what we're going to talk through next, how Copilot can turn everything that happened in the meeting into clarity, right? What needs to happen next. So immediately after the meeting, when you go into, this is just a screenshot of a meeting recap. We go back to that meeting in our team's calendar, we click on recap. This is where everything that we just saw during the meeting comes together in one place. At the top, you'll click recap. And what this gives you is a centralized view of the entire meeting experience. You're not going into multiple tools or trying to piece things together. Everything is already organized for you. So you'll see the recording, the transcript, and the meeting chat. So if you missed something, or if you couldn't attend or someone couldn't attend, you can quickly get caught up just in one central point of information. On the right-hand side here, you see structured meeting notes, right? An AI-generated summary. And this is key because those aren't notes someone typed, right? Those are generated in real time by the facilitator agent on what was actually discussed in that meeting. It's complete, it's structured, it's immediately available. You can see topics and chapters, specific moments in the recording, and you can navigate by speaker or discussion, et cetera. A lot of you have probably done this before. But this is where your decision and actions live. So they're captured and they're organized. They're tied back to the meeting conversation. So instead of leaving a meeting and starting from scratch, you leave the meeting with everything all ready to go, ready for you to act on. And this is what helps you move faster, right? This is what allows you to actually have a good outcome from the meeting because you're ready to execute on what you discussed immediately. It isn't just a recording of the meeting, it's the starting point for everything that comes next. So when we're in the recap experience, this is where you can really accelerate outcomes for yourself because what you're looking at isn't just a summary of a meeting. It's a complete vault of knowledge that was created during that meeting conversation. You can use it as input to generate new content. So now you don't have to rewatch the meeting. You don't have to stare at a blank page. You can go to this recap and say, draft a follow-up email based on this meeting. Create a summary for leadership. Turn this into a project plan or next steps document. And what makes this powerful is this content is grounded in what actually happened in the meeting. It's not from memory, right? It's actually grounded in that vault of knowledge. It's not interpretation after the fact. It's based on the real conversation captured in real time. So we can move into execution from that meeting, right? So now that we've seen how we can, well, actually, I'm just going to go back one because I wanted to make a keynote here. You can actually create your own template. So this is a little bit hard to see. I apologize. It's not, it looks a little blurry on my screen. But this little icon right here says create template. So if you want a standardized summary template that focuses on key things that you want to track for every meeting that you're in, you can create a template, right? So I've done that because I want to track impact. I want to say how many people were in the meeting, what decisions were made, and I want to understand what the impact, so I understand the value of that meeting. What do I need to do to make it more valuable going forward, right? How do I measure my impact? So that's how you can really generate content, from the meeting recap. And this is where it becomes repeatable and scalable. So instead of drafting something new every time, you can take what Copilot generates and apply a consistent structure using a template. So whether it's partner follow-up, leadership summary, internal update, you're not starting from scratch, right? You're standardizing on how outcomes look specific for that meeting. Because we already defined what a successful outcome looked like. It drives consistency across your work. Every meeting now produces the same level of clarity, the same structure, the same quality of output, and bonus, it's saving time, like a huge amount of time, right? In what world did we think we were going to get better results by spending less time? Instead of thinking, how should I word this? What did we decide again? You're just simply saying, run my template for this meeting, and it will run the template that you created. It's not just helping you capture information, right? It's helping you operationalize it into something usable every time. And again, these prompts are prompts that you can go back and drop into Copilot and into your meeting recaps and give this a try. Because I think this isn't just about output for others, right? This is about understanding your own impacts in meetings. A lot of what we do in our day-to-day is quantifiable, but so much of our work is harder to quantify, right? If we want to look at how we're using what our impact is, how did I contribute? How did I influence the conversation? What actions do I own? What could I improve next time? That's a template, right? So you can use this prompt that I created to create your own meeting template for every meeting. Really gives you a moment of clarity, right? What did I do well? Where did I add value? How can I refine my approach? And over time, think about how powerful that is to have a record of your contribution, a record of your outcomes, and a clear view of your impact. Okay. And I want to make sure to go through these last couple slides really quickly because we're going to hand it over to Michael. But let's just take everything we've done and apply it to something a little bit different. So up until this point, we've been talking about follow-ups and summaries, etc. But this same process can be used to generate, in this example, this is marketing content. So, flip this into whatever your next step is for your meetings. This example is maybe for a marketing meeting. You can generate content directly from your meetings. We're not doing anything new here. We're just using the exact same steps we talked through. Start with your meeting recap. Use that as your source of truth. Apply a clear prompt or template. Generate a structured output. So instead of asking, what should I post? You're just saying, let me take what we already did in this meeting, what decisions I contributed to in this meeting, and turn it into something I can share. So for this example, Polly could take this recap and ask Copilot, turn this into a LinkedIn post, highlighting the key insights, draft a blog summary of this conversation, create a shorter customer story based on what we discussed. It's not generic, right? It's tied to the actual meeting. If for this scenario, they clicked on create campaign in the recap, right? And guess what? This is what we got. This is a real world example. It's just the same recap from a structured prompt, just like we showed earlier, but this time it's for marketing content based on the meeting that we had. We get polished, LinkedIn posts, thought leadership summaries, partner facing stories. And this is where the real value starts to expand, right? Because now every meeting becomes a source of insights, a source of customer stories, a source of reusable content. It's really, really powerful. You're not just capturing and acting on meetings anymore. You are turning them into content that can be reused, shared, and scaled. And all of it starts from that single source of truth, the meeting recap, where you have all of your agentic AI and your Copilot and everything that you've done before and during the meeting in this sort of central site of knowledge. Okay, so let me really quickly, before we wrap, I want to leave you with where this is all going next. So everything we've talked about today has focused on how Copilot helps you prepare for meetings, have better meetings, time during the meeting, and how you can move faster afterward. But if you think about your own day, not all of your meetings happen at your desk, right? A lot of them happen in shared physical spaces, conference rooms, huddle rooms, hybrid environments. So the next question becomes, how do we take everything we just showed you, this AI-powered productivity, this meeting management experience, and bring it into the physical meeting room? Because the goal isn't just to make individuals more productive, it's to make the entire meeting space smarter. Every participant should be included. Every discussion is captured. Every meeting drives real outcomes, whether you're remote or in the physical meeting room. And we're going to go really deep into that in the 301 session next week, all about how Copilot and agents extend into Microsoft Teams rooms to power that experience in a shared environment. Okay, so I would like to take this opportunity to hand it over to Michael from Jabra to walk through how they are helping to bring these AI-powered experiences to life in Microsoft Teams rooms. I'll hand it over to you, Michael.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you for that. I'm busy trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I didn't think ahead of how am I going to present this, Teams Live or shared desk, and I think I've decided shared desktop is the way I'm going to roll.
Okay,
Sure.
sounds good. We're flexible.
There we go. So, hi, I'm Michael Tressler. I'm a manager, Global Technology Alliances Sales at Jabra, meaning, let's see, I don't want that there. Meaning, I'm here to help you understand Jabra's technology a little better, and that's not the slide I wanted to be on. I'm professional. I want to make that clear. That I know what I'm doing at all times, and I'm in charge. There we go. There's a me. Okay, let's move on. So Jabra is primarily known for our award-winning headsets. We've just launched a brand new line called the Evolve 3, which we're super excited about. But to tie this into what Amanda was talking about, certainly we can hit the keyboard and talk with Copilot that way. But we know that being able to speak is a lot faster than being able to type. So as you're discussing with Copilot, like, hey, I need to build an agenda, and you're ideating, you're going, well, maybe I need, that's a good agenda, Copilot, but maybe we should focus a little more on action items, a little less on launch plans and that sort of thing. It's a lot easier and more natural to speak. So the better the microphones are, the better your technology is, the better that conversation is going to be. And so Jabra, we have obviously the headsets and then our meeting room equipment as well. As we tie in with the Microsoft story, like where do we fit in? Obviously, in the hybrid worker series, both at the top there, the shared spaces and personal spaces, those are the ones that are probably most tied in with what Amanda's been talking about running meetings, ideating with Copilot, talking with your peers clearly and easy to be understood. But we also then tie in with some of the other Teams options there at the bottom, with contact center and dynamics, frontline workers, and Teams phone. But I do want to get kind of onto this one. I was listening to a podcast with a well-respected technology reporter. We'll put it that she would probably think that's minimizing her contributions, but I was listening to the podcast and she basically said, hey, where AI is really going to take off, and these were her words, unprompted, was with voice. That is how everybody's going to talk with AI. And at that point, she was talking about anyone, but Microsoft's definitely working on it with Copilot. The first vendor that really is able to figure out how to optimize voice with AI is going to have a real advantage. And so getting the voice to the AI is Jabra's job. We capture that voice, clearing out all of the background noise, focusing on your voice exclusively, no matter what the environment is, no matter what tool you're using. And then Teams obviously helps with the ability to isolate your voice within Teams to get rid of background noises. So you put the two together, and you're going to have a really great experience talking to AI and going through all that. And as Amanda was saying, even at the end after the meeting, there's all the meeting notes and the agendas. Certainly, you could use a template, but if you don't have one, which I don't, you could then just say, hey, Copilot, review the meeting notes out of this and create a marketing draft that I can use based off this meeting, just using your voice. So it's a lot more natural, it's a lot faster, it's a lot easier, and there are fewer typos because you're speaking. So at Jabra, we've just released our latest line of headsets, the Evolve 375 and Evolve 385. We are so confident that the voice is dynamically picked up and provides such a great thing. We got rid of the boom arm. Now, that's controversial, as I've seen reading reviews and notes that people have left reading those reviews. Are like, I need a boom arm. Well, you haven't used this then, have you? While there have been boom armless headsets in the past, this one, we wouldn't have released it had we not thought it was at least on par with a boom, if not better. So we're continuing to push forward. And then there's also the all-day comfort and a bunch of other things you can read the little bullet points on. but we continue to release devices focused for the modern worker and the headset. Specifically in meeting rooms, there are two features that Microsoft has primarily on the Windows side today. It's multi-stream and teleframe on the left, where it can recognize the faces. So when you're sitting at home and people are in a conference room, and you've never met these people, wouldn't it be nice to see what their name is as they get zoomed in on? So you can see their names automatically. Teams Rooms Windows will recognize their faces based off some magic and be able to see who is in there. And then specifically to today's presentation is the transcript. So Copilot is only as good as the transcript that comes out of the meeting. And so in this example, there's this conversation about donuts. And in a conference room, people don't sign in, so you don't know who said what. Who is the person that loves donuts? Who thinks they're delicious? Who thinks they're not good? You won't know. But using the intelligent speaker feature, again, magic we don't have time for, there is speaker recognition. And on our Panicast 50 Windows device, we're one of the only intelligent speaker certified speaker bars or video bars out there, meaning in Microsoft, this is their spec. They're convinced that an intelligent speaker that's certified for Teams Rooms in this feature will provide better voice transcript than the average device. Now, certified ones are only for Windows. What do we have to do with Android here on the Java side? Well, we do the best we can with as many well-tuned microphones with beamforming and all of that fancy microphone things, so that you can then, in your Android spaces, put in a Teams Rooms on Android, and that express install there on the right is a way to get a room up. Is there a number on this thing? 90 minutes. In less than 2 hours, you can have an entire conference room with professional audio, high quality video up and running. And I think that leaves you enough time maybe for some Q&A and spinning the wheel. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Always super valuable information. Thank you, Michael, so much. Let's do a quick spinny wheel while I share my screen. You do have to be present to win. So I have a lot of names in this spinny wheel, but I'm going to click to spin. If we get a name for someone that's not here, we will spin again. All right. All right. And this is for a P40 Jabra video device, which is awesome. I bet Mark is here. Mark, are you here? Let's see. Mark is usually in my meetings, but I already had him for like an hour yesterday, so he may not have been able to attach this one. Let's see.
I don't see him on the roster. Also,
oh, he's going to be so bummed.
I was super excited when I saw this as the prize. I'm like, seriously? We're giving away a P40?
I know, it's a big deal, you guys.
Great deal, yeah.
All right. Oh my gosh, fingers crossed it's somebody that's here. Tony. Is Tony here? Oh my gosh. I don't see Tony. We're going to do this one more time. And if the spinning wheel doesn't work, I'll do one from the list of registered names or for attendees for this actual meeting. I know Monica's here. Monica, you are the winner. So very excited. We will follow up with you after, my friend, to get you the information. Okay. So I hope this was really valuable for everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I am super excited for next week's session. So we are going to drill down into the actual agentic AI. What are the different agents? We've got facilitator, we've got interpreter. What are the new, functionality for those agents? And then we're even going to pivot into how you can build an agent. If I can do it, you can do it. And there's a lot of very cool agentic AI things that you can be doing right now to create automations, to create, content, eliminate tasks for you. So we're really going to drill down, even if you're not sure, like, what in the heck is agentic AI? I don't really get it. This is still a really foundational session for you to join. So I will see you next week for the 301 session. Monica, we will follow up with you. Congrats on winning your P40. Everyone else, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all next week.